Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. I'm Anand Prasad, a senior software engineer on the WhatsApp team at Meta. Now that you've onboarded onto the WhatsApp business platform in the previous session, we are going to run a live demo and build some messaging experiences on our platform. Let's get started. For this demo, we're going to be using a fictitious global e-commerce company called Marked. Marked wants to expand its business and reach customers on a tool that they're already familiar with, WhatsApp. They've built personalized engagement and support use cases using the API platform. Let's start by going over a customer support workflow where a customer initiates a conversation with Marked about an order that they'd placed. Before we dive in, let me go over our demo setup. We're using Postman that you can see on the top left to see what the requests and responses to our API look like. I've gone ahead and pre-filled the environment with the business phone number ID, the recipient phone number, and the user access token that I've copied over from the app dashboard that you just onboarded onto. On the right, we're using Glitch as our webhook server to show you what our webhook events look like in real time. On the bottom left, we have the WhatsApp application to show you what the customer view looks like when they're messaging the business. Let's go ahead and have the customer initiate a conversation with the business using what we call click-to-chat links. Now, typically, these links would be embedded in a business's application or their website, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and enter it into the browser. As you can see, this opens up a chat with the business. You can see the business's profile picture and a green check mark indicating that this business is verified. Let's have the customer ask the business a question about a product that they just ordered. You can see two check marks indicating that the message has been delivered. And as we look over to the webhook tab, you can see the incoming message webhook event come through. Let me highlight a few sections. The contact section has the name of the sender. The messages section has the ID of the sender, a unique message ID for this message, when the message was sent, and what the message contents are. Marked would like their customer to know that their agent has read the message. So let's go ahead and paste this message ID into the Mark Message as Read API that I've opened up on the left in Postman. As we hit send, you can see that the API returns successfully. And if you look down at the customer's view, you can see that the two check marks are now blue, letting the customer know that Marked has actually read their message. Marked would like the customer to know that they're looking into the account. They decide to use the Send Message API to send a text message back to the customer. This is what the Send Message API looks like. You can see the recipient phone number in the To field. The type is text, and you can see the text that the business is sending the customer. The API returns successfully, and the response has a unique message ID that allows Marked to track the lifecycle of this message. Looking at the customer's view below, you can see the text that was sent. And as we look to the right, and we scroll down all the way to the bottom, you can see the incoming message status webhook come in. This message status webhook allows Mark to know that this message has been read. The ID here matches the ID that was returned in the API response. The status says that this message was read, and there's a timestamp indicating when this event occurred. Mark would now like the customer to know that their product is ready to ship. For this, let's have them use an image message. You can see that this is the same send message API But this time we're using the type being image. There's a link with a link to the actual image that's going to be sent. And there's a caption field with the actual text that they want the customer to see. Once again, you can see the message ID come back in the API response. You can see the customer's view update with the image as well as the caption. And finally, you can see the message status webhook show up on the right. Let's go ahead and have the customer reply to this message and ask if they can make a change to the order. Because this message is a reply to a previous message, if you look closer at the incoming message webhook on the right, there's now a context object. The context object contains the message ID of the message that's being replied to. Again, you can see that this ID matches exactly the ID that was returned in the API response, letting Mark know that this was a reply to the image message that they sent. Mark would like the customer to know that they can in fact change their size. They're going to use a list message to allow the customer to pick between a set of options. The message type in this case is interactive. The subtype is list. There's text in the body indicating that the customer can in fact change their size. And there's a set of options below, each of which has its own unique ID. Let's have the customer pick a size that they would like by clicking on the Select Size button. As they click on this, they can now see a list of options show up. Let's have them pick, say, medium. Once again, as you look to the right, you can see the message webhook event with a type interactive, a subtype list reply, and the ID of the option that was selected. This ID matches the ID from the API request. This allows Mark to programmatically determine which specific option the customer picked among a set of choices. As you can see, list messages are a great way to allow customers to select between a different set of options. Mark would like to let the customer know that their order has been updated. In addition to that, they would like to upsell the customer on opting in to future marketing communication on the platform. They're going to use the reply button message. This type has a header section, a body section that contains the upsell message, and it's followed by two buttons, a yes button and a no button, each with its own unique ID. Once again, you can see the message ID come through, you can see the customer's view, and you can see the webhook status update. The header is in bold, the body is regular text. Let's have the customer click yes. Again, looking to the right at the incoming message webhook event, it has a context field indicating that this was in fact a reply to a previous message. You can see the ID of the button that was clicked. And again, this ID matches the ID from the API request. This allows Mark to programmatically determine which specific button the customer chose. This ends our demo here, but this conversation is not yet over. Let me pass it over to my colleague Arushi, who's going to walk you through a workflow where Mark proactively engages with the customer. Thank you.
Thanks, Anand. Hi, everyone. I'm Arushi Grover, Senior Software Engineer on the WhatsApp team at Meta, and I'm going to walk you through how a business can build customer engagement on the WhatsApp business platform. Consider a use case where Mark, our fictitious e-commerce company, wants to reach out to its customers as part of its sales cycle. Let's say the business wants to send an alert to a customer about a drop in price on an item in their shopping cart. Let's walk through how Marked can send such alerts to its customer. As part of your previous session, you created and added your own production phone number using the Add Phone Number button at the bottom of your screen. Right next to it, you can find a link to your account's overview page. Let's click on that. This will take you to your account's management portal called WhatsApp Manager. The overview page allows you to monitor all your WhatsApp business accounts in a single place. Towards the middle of the screen, you can find the test phone number that was assigned to you as part of your onboarding. Just above that, you can find all the production phone numbers that you add after you have onboarded onto the platform. And that is paired with the business's messaging insights just above it, as well as its pricing insights. On the section on the top right, the business can find their messaging and other limits and ways to increase those limits. And just below that, on the bottom right, you can find some of WhatsApp Business's latest developments and announcements. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see a tab called the Account Tools. This is what businesses can use to manage their WhatsApp business assets. Let's go ahead and click on Message Templates tab. Now, for a business to start a conversation with their customer, the initiating message has to be of a predefined message template format. As part of your onboarding, you'll find some sample pre-approved templates from WhatsApp that you can use to try out the product. Each of these message templates are of a different message format, as you can see while I'm scrolling down, and are also available in a few different languages for you to try them out. Let's say for Marked, we want to create our own custom template. So on the top right, I'm going to go ahead and click Create Message Template. First, we start by selecting the category of the template. Since this is a customer alert message, I'm going to select Alert. Next, we want to give a name to our template. Let's say we call it Price Drop on Item. Next, we select the languages that we want to build the message template in. You can select any number of languages, but for our use case, I'm going to select one language, which is English US. Okay, let's hit Continue on the top right. Now, on this screen, on the left-hand side, you can see the list of languages that you've selected. Towards the middle portion of the screen is where you build your actual message content. And towards the right of the screen is where you can see a preview of how your message would appear on the customer's WhatsApp app. So let's go ahead and build the message content. Marked wants to tell its customers that an item in their cart had a price drop. So let's add that to the message body. An item in your cart. And at this point, I want to add the name of the item. So I'm going to click on Add Variable. This will allow me to dynamically attach an item name when I'm sending the message. So let's complete it. An item in your cart has a price drop. Okay, now towards the top of the screen, you can see that we can attach a header to our message. We can have different formats of header. For our use case, I want to attach a media header. By selecting Image, I can dynamically attach the item's image while sending the message. If I scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you can see that we have an option to add buttons to our template. Let's go ahead and create some quick reply buttons. I'm going to create two buttons. The first one, let's call it Order Now. And the next one, let's call it Save for Later. And so on the right-hand side, you can see how this message will appear on the customer's WhatsApp app. We can also choose to add a footer to our message. So let's say I add order using the payment method on your account. All right, so this looks good. Let's go ahead and submit our template. We confirm the languages. and done. So now you can see that this new template has been created and is currently in pending review state. Once this has been approved, businesses can use this template to initiate conversations with their customers. Now, for this session, I have pre created a similar version of this template, and you can see that this template has already been approved. Note that the language of this template is still English US, and the name of the template is Item Price Drop Alert. Now let's go ahead and send this message to our customers. The screen setup here is similar to what you've previously seen in Anand's session. On the top left, we have Postman, which we'll use to make API calls. On the right-hand side, we have Glitch, which we're using to listen to our webhook events. And on the bottom left, we have the customer's view of the WhatsApp application. Okay, to send the message in Postman, you'll notice the initial fields are the same. What changes is the message type. This time, it's template. Next, we add some template data, like the name of the template, which is Item Price Drop Alert. Then the language in which we're sending, which is English US. The component section below is where we define our dynamic variables of the template. In our case, the first dynamic variable was in the header field, where we wanted to dynamically attach the item's image while sending. So here I have a URL link of the media file to my item's image. The next dynamic variable was in the message body, where we wanted to add the item's name. So here we have a variable of type text, and the text is the name of the item. Okay, let's go ahead and send this message. There, you can see on the bottom WhatsApp app that the customer has received a message from the business marked. The message includes an image of the item as well as the dynamically attached name of the item. On the right-hand side, we can see all the webhook events that we have received corresponding to this message. Our first event told us that the message was successfully sent. The next one tells us the message was successfully delivered. And once the customer opened the message, we received the webhook that the message was successfully read. Now, let's say the customer wants to go ahead and place the order. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Order Now. Okay, and on the right side, we have received a webhook event for this. We've received the contact information of the customer to start with. In the Messages section, you can find the Context subsection. This means that this was a reply to message, along with the ID of the message to which this was a reply. The reply type is button, and the button text is Order Now. Now let's say that Mark has processed this request and placed the order for the customer. We now want to send a confirmation to the customer that their order was successfully placed. At this point, Mark could either choose to reply to the customer using a standard text-based API, or we could create another message template that Mark could use for all of its customers whenever they have placed an order. So for this session, I have pre-created such a template. Let's take a look at that. You can see that we have a template called Item Order Placed. Let's click through it to see what it looks like. In the center of the screen, you can see that this template has a header which is of type text, which basically confirms to the customer that their order was placed. The message body adds some additional confirmation as well as some additional shipping details for the customer. Towards the bottom of the screen, we've also added a different type of button, the Call to Action button. The action it performs is visiting a website with the button text being Track Order Status. It has a static URL which will lead the customer to its company's website. And so on the right-hand side, you can see how this message will appear on the customer's app. Okay, so let's build this message template. In the API, you can see the message type is still template. The template data has the new name, which is item order placed, and the language remains English US. Note that this template did not have any dynamic variables, so this is all that the request body needs to be. Okay, let's go ahead and hit send. There, you can see on the WhatsApp app that the customer has received order confirmation along with a link to track that order status. And on the right side, we have received all the corresponding webhook events, the message being successfully sent, delivered, and finally read. This is just one example of how you can initiate conversations with your customers, help drive engagement, as well as conversions. The WhatsApp Business Platform allows you to enable many other forms of messaging, and I hope that this example gives you an idea of how you can build a great customer experience using this platform. As you've seen, we have been using Postman for all of our API calls. With over 20 million developers already on Postman, we have integrated the WhatsApp Business Platform with Postman so that you have a great tool to build your API projects and automate workflows across your applications. With that, I'd like to pass it off to Joyce, who's going to show you some additional examples of what you can build with WhatsApp in Postman.
Thanks, Hiroshi. My name is Joyce Lin. I'm the head of developer relations at Postman. A lot of developers know how to explore and debug APIs using Postman, but today I'm going to show you how to automate a WhatsApp API workflow in Postman. So let's send out a notification about an upcoming promotion to a batch of customers using different templates. So I have two post calls here in this collection called Upcoming Promotion. We're going to be sending a message template that's media type and one that's text type. We've already seen how to do this using individual API calls, but today I'll show you how to send a message blast to a group of customers by executing the API sequence automatically in Postman. So when we send our first call, we get back a 200 OK. And WhatsApp typically gives you back 200 OKs for their API calls. The first thing that we'll want to do is write a test. So let's find one that says status code is 200, to assert that we're getting back from the WhatsApp server what we expect. When we hit send, on the bottom under the test results, we can see that we have a passed test because we have a 200 OK, and we asserted that we'll get back a 200 OK. Under the body, you can see a standard request body that WhatsApp is expecting, and it's already working, so why futz with it? Well, let's update the type to plural, and now the WhatsApp API is mad at us because it's a bad request. It was expecting type, but we sent types. So when we're writing tests like that, we're just able to assert that the behavior is as we expect, which builds more resilient integrations. Let's go ahead and revert our changes and save. And again, most of the WhatsApp API endpoints do return 200. So instead of writing a test individually for every request in our collection, which currently is just 2, but that's going to get tedious, let's add that test at the collection level. So this test that we previously added at the request level is now going to run at the collection level, meaning it'll run after every request in that collection. So we can step through each API call individually, or we can automate even more by running this in the runner. Now there's still just 2 requests in this collection, and I'm sending it to a single recipient, but I actually have a file locally here. This is my customer phone list, and this is who I want to send my message blast to. So let's preview to make sure our CSV is formatted properly. Yep, that's the one that I want to send. And let's run our upcoming promotion collection against that CSV file. So here's Postman firing all these calls. It's sending all these message templates to different types of phone recipients. And I see I'm getting back 200 OK. And I can see my tests are passing. Status code is 200 OK. And if I got a 400 or anything that I don't expect, I would see that as a failure. This is probably going to take a while because I have a lot of customers. I'm doing very well in business. And look, here's one of my consumers receiving a WhatsApp message now. Grab it while it lasts. Here's two different message templates. The first one is a media template with a nice view of cookware, and the second one is a text template. Now back in Postman, there's a lot of automation that we're doing. We're writing tests to ensure that we have resilient code. We're running API calls with the collection runner. There's one more step I want to show you that's going to save you a little bit more time. So again, most developers know Postman is a way to send and debug and craft API calls. But once we have our call working the way we want, we have our headers, we've updated our body, and we're getting back a 200 OK or whatever status code we want. On the right, select that code icon, and you can select from different programming languages and frameworks. So say you're working in Node Request Framework. Select that framework, and now Postman is replicating that same API call in Node Request Framework. So copy and paste that into your integration or your application, and that's going to save you a little bit more time. Back to you, Arushi.
Thanks, Joyce. It's great to see the ways you can use Postman to automate your messaging workflows on the new WhatsApp Business platform. We have additional developer resources for you, including documentation, courses, and support. We can't wait to see what you build.